U.S. officials say the Trump administration was informed ahead of the attack. Qatar, a key U.S. ally, has played a significant role as a mediator in ongoing talks to try and reach a ceasefire in Gaza. Among those targeted was, in fact, Hamas's chief negotiator, Khalil al-Hayya. That's according to a senior Israeli official. We want to bring in retired general and former head of Israeli military intelligence, Amos Yadlin. He joins me now from Washington. It is good to have you here, sir. I want to ask you just right off the bat, bluntly, what do you believe was both the political and military rationale for this strike?
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Paula. I think the main issue is to make sure that the heads of the terror organizations that are now more extreme when they sit in a 7-star hotel in Qatar and not agreeing to the last proposal by President Trump, that they will be removed as an obstacle to end the war. Second, Qatar was very unhelpful in supporting Hamas, giving it a lot of money, weapons, and supporting it diplomatically, and was not helpful also in the negotiation, which the US and the Egyptians were trying to promote. Last but not least, Israel has a doctrine since the Munich Games massacre that anybody who participates in this massacre, and very much in the 7th of October massacre, will be removed, will be targeted. Anyone who planned the 7th of October massacre and all the terrors that killed Israeli kids, Israeli women, Israeli civilians, 900 of them, everybody who participated will be removed, and many that were in Qatar were among them. Last but not least, Qatar is financing a lot of anti-Israeli activities all over the world, but especially in your country, in the US. And it's time that Qatar, that using its money and Al Jazeera to spoil any positive political process, will also pay a price and will understand that they are playing with fire.
General Yadlin, I have to point out that Israel has been negotiating with Qatar. They have used them as trustworthy negotiators in the past, and that the United States, at this point in time, has been leaning on Qatar to try and help in these negotiations. But I also do want to point out that CNN has spoken to family members of the hostages who say, notwithstanding the fact that they do want to see the Hamas leadership punished, that this was not the time and this was not the way.
We're very worried, very, very worried. We don't know who will be now negotiating with Israel about the remaining hostages. There's still hostages suffering there. I believe that taking military actions on Hamas leaders can wait. And right now, what we need to be focused on is saving the hostages.
General, I have to ask you, it is such a tough situation for these families. What do you say to them? This is an unprecedented strike on a country that claims that in good faith they were trying to help to get to the release of those hostages.
My heart is with the families. I'm calling to end the war in the last year by first bringing back all the hostages in one pulse and end the war, Israeli withdrawal, and removing of Hamas from Gaza. This is a goal that I support, and the families will agree for it for sure. Unfortunately, I'm not running the negotiation. And President Trump, who is running the negotiation, put on the table in the last 3 days a proposal to end the war, which is very similar to my plan. And unfortunately, Hamas leaders in Qatar, unlike Hamas leaders in Gaza, refuse to go along this line. So I hope for the families to see their loved one as soon as possible. I want this war to be over.
But do you believe that this strike is what is going to bring those family members home? Because right now, those families are terrified. They do not believe that this kind of a strike will bring their family members home sooner. How?
Future will tell. not how those extremes in the Hamas leaders, those who refuse to end the war all the time, those who haven't said yes to President Trump proposals are now removed. So not tomorrow, not the day after, but I think within weeks, we will see that the leaders of Hamas in Gaza, who are suffering with the 2 million Palestinians in Gaza and want to end the war, but those in Qatar who refuse to do it, I think not in the short run, but a little bit after that, in the mid run, we will see an end to this war. In a way, the fact that Hamas leaders, like those who were targeted in Qatar this morning, will be removed is a step forward to end this war that should be ended almost a year ago.
And I do want to say that, another one of the family members, a mother, posted on X saying that, look, she believes this is actually the execution of her son, not the savior for her son during this strike. I'm sure you've seen it as well.
I saw it and my heart is with the families. But what is happening that Hamas is unwilling to end the war, as much as some of the Israeli coalition elements, like Ben Gvir and Smotrich. So we have to remove those who are against ending the war and bring these hostages back, but not in any price. And the price that these leaders of Hamas are putting is unacceptable. We should end this war in a package, in a deal that will include 4 elements: returning of all the hostages, withdrawal of Israeli forces, removing Hamas from power, and a side letter between Israel and America on the models that have been done with on Lebanon, on Hezbollah, that if Hamas will rebuild itself as an armed terror organization, Israel has the right to go back and hit Hamas. But the families will get their loved one at home before that. And this is the outline that we have to promote, both the Trump administration, the Israeli government, and those who haven't pushed Hamas good enough, which is the people in Doha.
General, I want to lean on your decades of experiences, both in military intelligence and also with the Air Force. Is there really such a thing as a surgical strike? How much collateral damage could this have caused? And you heard people screaming there in Doha. There was certainly a lot of panic, a lot of terror. Perhaps Qatari citizens could have been hurt or killed as well. What are the implications of that? How did you see this operation unfolding?
I think that in any military attack, there is a proportionality to the goals that you want to achieve. Nobody can remove only the bad guys. However, I think this consideration was high on the Israeli Air Force planers. I know very well the Israeli Air Force. I know very well the intelligence. And I think they tried to do it as clean as possible. The way they did it, by the way, in Sana'a with the Houthis government. Those who care about civilians should bring back the hostages that are 7 and 5 days in Gaza. These people haven't seen the Red Cross. These people were starved. And Hamas, who is basically hiding and shielding himself behind civilians, is to blame in this war. Hamas is responsible to the killing of the people of Gaza because he put all his command posts and all his camps and the places that firing at Israel civilian population without any discrimination. They have to stop shielding themselves behind these civilians and don't blame the Israeli Air Force, which is the most precise organization in a war that I ever met in my professional life, which is unfortunately now close to 50 years.
General Dalian, we will leave it there for now. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.